Hello and welcome to the Quincy Access Television Studios. I'm Mark Crosby, your host for Good Deeds, your Norfolk County Registry of Deeds. Joining me is Registrar Bill O'Donnell. Bill is no stranger here to Quincy Access Television or the county, or I understand, Bill, that our programs play even beyond the county. So a lot of great information. Today we will be focusing on statistics. We will look at the year 2023. A look back, Bill.
Sure. Well, again, Mark, thank you, and thanks to Quincy Access Television and the staff here, and it's great that it's getting picked up in other places in Massachusetts. And a lot of times we talk about laws. The laws in Norfolk County are the same as the laws in Massachusetts, whether it's getting a homestead to protect your house. And but for now, in some of the statistics we talk about, we're going to be talking about the statistics from 2023 versus 2022. But it does have parallels to what's going on in other parts of Massachusetts. And as I say, 2023 saw challenges in a very important part of our economy is the real estate economy, and it was certainly challenging, and you see it in the document volume. It was a relatively slow year. I mean, the Norfolk Registry was open and operational every workday during COVID in 2020 and 2021, and it was a very busy time economically. We didn't see that in 2023. And you look at the total documents recorded, in 2022, for the whole year, 130,051 documents were recorded in Norfolk County. But this year in 2023, 102,188. So almost down 28,000 documents, or 21%. So clearly there wasn't a volume, and sales were down. Sales went down 8%. And when you look at it, total deeds. Deeds are transactions of sale where, property is changing hands. And in Norfolk County, the total deeds recorded in 2022 was 17,398, and in 2023, 15,253, or down 2,145, or 12%. So document volume was down. Transactions were down as far as deeds. But I do want to point out that we still hear anecdotally, because if you come to 649 High Street, where the registry is, people come in and do closings, and we talk to brokers, we talk to buyers, and certainly there's competition in the sense that there's a limited inventory. All the brokers are saying it's still a limited inventory. And in the greater Boston area, including Norfolk County, demand is high for housing. So you feel bad for the first-time home buyers who are paying interest rates who are coming down, but they started the year in 2023 at a little over 6% and went up as high as 8%. And they're saying, hey, there was still multiple people bidding on properties. And, we didn't get the first couple, but we were lucky to get this one. So you feel bad that there's multiple people bidding on the property, which means, the prices are still, going to be, they're not going to come down significantly. And you're paying interest rates that are, were 8% into 7%. So that poor couple, the first-time buyers, whether you're, 25 years old, or maybe you've been in Boston renting and you're 35, 40 years old, decide to buy a house. When you're paying 6.25% or 7% interest versus not too long ago in 2020, it was 2.5% or 2.625. It adds a lot of cost. So it's a struggle for people because of how expensive things are here in Norfolk County. Another example of why things may have slowed down too, we just touched upon, is the interest rate. You look at another component of document volume, and it's mortgages. When we borrow money, mortgages get recorded at the registry. And in 2022, 23,265 mortgages were recorded. But in 2023, 14,598, down almost 9,000 documents, or 37%. So, and it makes sense. There's less properties, as we saw with the deeds, being bought, so mortgages are going to be down. But more importantly, people who've got low interest rates and refinanced in 2020 and 2021 aren't going to be jumping at refinancing at 7.5% or 6%. And I think that's a big factor as to why you saw the mortgages go down in Norfolk County. We're tied to what goes on nationally. And when the interest rates went up because they're trying to control inflation, trying to deal with national issues, it affects people locally. And we see that with the documents. The document volume is down, but the mortgages are down because there's less properties being sold, and more importantly, there's less financing taking place. And it's cyclical too, because there might be some people that want to sell their house, but they don't want to sell their house and they have a 2.5% or 2.625 mortgage, and now they're going to upgrade and the interest rates are being what they are. So that keeps the inventory down. So instead of those houses coming on the market, people are sitting tight, So it's something to be wary of. We always talk about foreclosures. I always tell people, if you are struggling with foreclosure, please go to our website, www.norfolkdeeds.org, because we have partnered up with a couple of some nonprofit groups, Quincy Community Action Program and NeighborWorks Housing Solutions. They've committed to help people all across, not just in Quincy Community Action Program, obviously in Quincy, but they've committed to help in all 28 communities, and I'm sure they help beyond, as does NeighborWorks Housing Solutions. So if you are struggling, they have counseling that can help you. More importantly, a foreclosure is a legal action. Your lender has filed a court case in court to foreclose on your property, and they will give you guidance. So please reach out. If you go to our website at www.norfolkdeeds.org, you can not only get in touch with those groups, but the Massachusetts Attorney General's office also has some resources. And people are struggling. Total foreclosure deeds, those are deeds that got sold because they got foreclosed on. In 2022, it might seem like a low number, 68, but that's 68 families that had to deal with a tough situation. And it went up to 73 in 2023. And more importantly, notices to foreclose, which is the first start in the process. By law, if your lender forecloses on you or institutes a legal action in a court, the court mandates that they have to file a notice of foreclosure at the Registry of Deeds. And in 2023, there were 308. And in 2022, there were 308. In 2023, there were 339. So, you can see, it's going up. And that's showing that, people are struggling, and we got to be aware of it.
And I think I was mentioning to you, which I know you're aware of too, that the feds won't affect interest rates immediately, but in 2024, which we are in, of course, this is January, they are looking possibly to cut the interest rate.
Yes, and when they cut the interest rate, sometimes it takes a bit to be seen at the residential when you go in to borrow some money to buy a house, a residential house. So yes, they are projecting that because of assumptions they're making on inflation, that interest rates certainly will go down at some point in 2024 and definitely into the third quarter, fourth quarter, which it means the end of 2024. The rates, the way they're projecting, are going to be lower. So that to me means a couple of things. It means I think 2024, I still think relatively prices to property are going to go up. And they're going to go up because there's a limited inventory. It doesn't matter whether you're renting or whether you're buying a house. It's expensive in Massachusetts. And to show that, I know we talk about sales of houses, but I got some data on rentals. And there's a high demand for rentals. The vacancy rate in the city of Boston for rentals is 0.65% or under 1%. And I got a report, it's called Rent Cove. It suggested 13 people on average are vying for every vacant apartment in Greater Boston. And in Providence, there was 17 people vying. And in Portland, Maine, 20. So what does that mean? That means there's a demand to rent. There's competition, which means rent prices can go up. So Boston's an expensive proposition or expensive area, not just for rentals, but for homeowners. And it's hard because people are renting because maybe they don't, they need to accumulate a pretty significant deposit for the property, to buy a property. So it all ties in together. And another data point, we check with the Realtors Associations. Norfolk County is still a desired place to be. Even though I've mentioned document volume is down, the average listing, and a listing in November, when the property's put on to when there's an offer that's accepted, in Norfolk County in November, listings for sale average 35 days, whereas the national average is 52 days. So it still shows there's people that want to buy property, and I think it all comes down to in the greater Boston area, they got to increase housing production to meet what's going on. People want to live in the greater Boston area.
Well, I was listening to a report on National Public Radio earlier today, and I believe Massachusetts was number 7 in the country as far as, it was in the top 10, as far as a desirable place to live.
Well, and that bears out in this statistic can be stunning. Even though it went down, the average sale price, and again in Norfolk County we have to factor in commercial and residential, so it's together. So yes, some big commercial properties could skew this, but there's been some big residential sales in Norfolk County recently. There was a multi-million-dollar sale of land in Needham, and to there's going to be some housing put in there. But here was the average sale price, commercial and residential. In 2022, it was roughly 1.1 million, and in 2023, it went down 1 million. So it went down $90,000, but it's still a pretty sizable number. And when you compare it nationally, I'm sure it's really high. So yes, there's limited inventory for people. There's limited houses that are for sale. There's still a significant demand. So yes, it's going to increase the cost.
I know where I live is not in Norfolk County. I live in Plymouth, and there seems to be a lot of building going on there. In Quincy, in Norfolk County, there is building going on here in Weymouth and Braintree. So people might think, or might say, but I see building happening. But I guess it's still not enough. Yeah,
and it probably takes time to catch up. So that's the takeaway. Yes, in a lot of the communities there are there is housing production being brought online, but that still doesn't mean you're meeting the demand. But certainly it means there's more properties available at some point for either sale or to rent.
I know in 2023 we would hear inklings of a recession. That pretty much has been taken off the books. I don't think anyone is looking at a recession in 2024.
Again, I did take economics. Was an economics major, but I'm not an economist. But they call it a soft landing, whatever that is. If you're the one getting laid off, whether it's a recession or soft landing, it still hits you. But it doesn't sound like that, as you said, the projections. It does not appear that they're calling it a soft landing, whatever that is. But there's still sectors of whether it's food prices that certainly gas and things like that have come down, but other people are still feeling that, wait a minute, the prices are still high. So we still have a challenging economy. As I said, 2023 in the real estate market was challenging. I think 2024 will be as well, but hopefully things will improve with the interest rates coming down a little, and maybe some more inventory being to be sold.
In 2023, you and I embarked on a project, History Comes Alive, and developed a series of shorts, which we will continue into 2024. One of ours got recognized nationally, first place, so congratulations. A big year, I suppose, for us collaborating on this project in 2023?
Well, that's a tribute to your skills and Jonathan and the staff, your skills as a producer and him as an executive producer. As I said, I was just the voice, I was just the voice. But
actually not, because this will lead me to the publication of books, which actually led to this series.
And when you mention History Comes Alive, it really ties to the records. In Norfolk County, our records go back to 1793. A lot of great history there. Records dealing with 4 presidents of the United States actually born in Norfolk County. Deeds from John Adams, 2nd President of the United States, to John Quincy Adams, 6th President of the United States. A lot of history. And one of the projects I'm very proud about, we did have a commitment to, and we still have a commitment, we're still modernizing the registry, but we have Internet Land Record research. All our documents back to 1793, you can view them, you can search them through a viewable index. But out of that, from 1793 to 1900, over 450,000 documents were handwritten. That's how they recorded the documents. They were cursive. And we did a History Comes Alive transcription project, which those over 450,000 documents were transcribed into easy-to-read text. So when you go on our website, the legal document is the handwritten document, but you can hit a button and get the transcribed version. There's so much history in Norfolk County, and that's why we did those books. We did a book celebrating the 225th anniversary of Norfolk County. We looked at historical figures. In 2019, it culminated in the renovation of the registry building, which dates back to 1903. Again, we did a historical book, and recently we did one for the veterans. And to all veterans out there, we thank you for your service. My son is in the Coast Guard. If you need to get one of these books on, and again, thanks to Quincy Access Television, they did a great job of not only doing public service announcements, publicizing the event, but on November 8th, 2023, we had John Santiago, who is in Governor Healy and Lieutenant Governor Driscoll's cabinet. He's the first, for the first time ever, the Secretary of Veterans Affairs is a cabinet position. He came to Norfolk County, and it was covered by Quincy Access Television. But we did a book celebrating it, and a lot of great stories about veterans, and just great history about the branches, history about some of those 4 commanders-in-chief from Norfolk County, what they did during their reign as president. But if any veteran wants the book, just email me at Register O'Donnell, ODONNELL, at norfolkdeeds.org, or give my office directly a call, 781-461-6101, which is the customer service. But make sure they tell us that you want a book, and we'll definitely, for all veterans, get a book out. But again, thanks to Quincy to cover the event. But we appreciate it.
You're welcome. But you should, before you put that down, open it up so folks can see. There's a lot of information.
Sure. We got again some of the here are the 4 presidents, and we have stories. There's George Bush in Desert Storm, all the branches, and there's a lot of good photographs. The history of the branches, history of our national anthem as well. But the Norfolk County Medal of Honor winners, we have a list and some pictures there. But just the stories. I mean, Medal of Honor. There's a couple of stories, and all these stories were generated locally. This project started pre-COVID, 2019, soliciting from historical societies and commissions stories, and that's what it's really about. I think this book is the stories about veterans who left their homes to fight. But there were also, we have some unbelievable stories about people who were involved in the Red Cross, that these organizations that support veterans, and the veterans agents. There were some stories on some veterans agents around. So a great book, but it all comes back to that transcription project. We start looking at the history, and I want to commend you for those stories, and I'm sure there's going to be more coming out. But it was great to get national recognition, and it was a fun time, going down to Brooklyn, New York, and seeing, your creativity get recognized. But there's a lot of history in Norfolk County and a lot of history at the registry, and I want to thank you for it. And I also want to thank Quincy Access Television and specifically Mark. We do a lot of community outreach at the Norfolk Registry of Deeds, community projects, and this group here does PSAs, public service announcements on. We do a food drive. Excuse me. We do a. We've partnered up again, thanks to the Marines, the United States Marines. We've been doing it for decades now. The Toys for Tots program, and the successes we have in getting the food to food pantries, and more importantly, getting awareness. If you go to our website, www.norfolkdeeds.org, there are 28 communities in Norfolk County. Some of them have multiple food pantries. They need services and they need donations all year long. So go to the addresses on our website and help them out and donate them. But without the public service announcements, we wouldn't have had a successful food drive, and we wouldn't have certainly had a successful Toys for Tots. We had 4 Marines come by taking the toys. So I want to thank everybody in Norfolk County that helps support it, whether it's through donations, but more importantly, publicity from Quincy Access Television gets things going. So here we are, an arm of government many people might not know about, but I'd like to think we do things in the communities that help people out. And I also want to thank you because you've done coverage. We have a Suits for Success program, and it's not just about suits, it's about good clothing that people need. And our Suits for Success program, we take donations, whether they're suits, women's clothes, men's clothes, warm coats. We've donated to Father Bill's in Spring, Thrifty Threads in Brookline, the Interfaith Social Services. There's a group, Inner City Weightlifting in Dorchester and Cambridge, that their group needs clothes. The Circle of Hope, which is centered in Needham, they work with the homeless and they work with shelters in the Metro West area of our county and Greater Boston, and they've benefited and taken suits. The St. Francis House in Boston, we've donated and have been there, just recently did it. And St. Vincent de Paul in Plainville, they serve not just Plainville, but that end of the county and beyond the county, because some of our donations, we go to the Veterans Administration. We've donated clothes in Jamaica Plain, West Roxbury, and in Brockton. And in Jamaica Plain, there was a person, we were bringing them in, and the person was coming out and said, "Oh, you got suits?" I said, "You want some?" And took 3, it was like off the rack, he's trying them on. He goes, I don't even have a suit to go to a funeral, so this will be good. So there's a lot of charity that we do in Norfolk County and at the registry, but it's because of Quincy Access Television getting the message out.
And I know some of those stories too have included folks that will use a suit for a job interview.
Yes, and that's how it started. And now no one wears suits. The way things have gone, COVID, and that's how it started. And we got into it actually through Interfaith Social Services. They made aware that women need clothes. So it started as suits, and now we've branched out. But we were in the, one of the, again, a former a veteran who's now donating his services to the Veterans Administration. We brought a lot of coats. He goes, "Wait, it's winter time. You need, can you get some more coats?" So there's a lot of need, and we find that every group we go to, they just say it's a need. So yes, sometimes it's to get back on your feet, or to get a job interview, or to get ahead a little bit, and it's there. Or sometimes it's as basic as we take for granted we have a suit coat to go to a wedding or a funeral, and that veteran coming up saying, "This is great. I don't have a suit to go to a funeral." So yeah. It makes you feel good, but it also it's about we're just getting through the holiday season. You got to think of others, and I think if we all do that in 2024 and beyond, hopefully things will be better.
And we certainly enjoy collaborating with you and getting the message out.
Yeah.
I do want to talk about something that just seems to be ever changing, and that is scam and scam artists. Talk about that, and talk about if people are concerned that they've been notified about something that they feel might not be right. Certainly, there's actions that you should take. Never give out your personal information.
No, never give out your personal information. And the scams we've seen more centered around the registry has been, solicitations saying, for $10 they'll get you a homestead form, for instance. They won't fill it out, but they'll get you the form. Well, first of all, if you go on our website, www.norfolkdeeds.org, or go to one of our community outreach programs, we have homestead forms there. Other scams that we've seen, sometimes they say, hey, you need to get a certified copy of your deed. And it's good to have a certified copy of your deed, but when we go to outreach programs, we certify it. Technically, if we do it, at the registry, we're supposed to, it costs $2. Well, that $2 is a lot cheaper than the $60 that they're soliciting, and they get you a certified copy of your deed, but they come to the registry, pay $2, and they've taken you for $58. It's legal. We have notified the Attorney General's office. We have notified the Secretary of State's office. And in fine print, it says it's a solicitation. And to the credit of the Attorney General's office, to the credit of Secretary of State Bill Galvin, they've put consumer notifications out there that, hey, don't fall for this scam. Another scam, it looks like a real estate property tax bill. They send out a property tax bill, and that's $83, and they'll get you a copy of your deed. They don't even get it certified. At least the other people get it certified. So there's all kinds of variations of the scams. And I think it's like anything. Make sure you need it. And if you need something, go directly to the government agency, at least in this case, when you're dealing with homesteads or a copy of your deed. And as I said, when we on outreach, we give people copies of their deeds, or if they need it certified. But the biggest scam to watch out for, and people might want to sign up. We were the first registry to do an anti-fraud consumer notification service, and other registries are now trying to make that part of their programming, where you can sign up. I've signed up. I get an email notice anytime a William O'Donnell document gets recorded at the registry. We're not going to prevent the fraud, but what it does is it notifies me. And there's going to be a time I always say, wait a minute, my wife didn't sign that, I didn't sign that, that's a deed to my house, or that's a mortgage. How is someone borrowing money on my property? And yes, it's going to be a slog to straighten it out. Anyone that's had their credit cards compromised are going to see it. So that's the biggest thing we get. They say, well, geez, this thing's on TV. Should I sign up for it? And I just say, well, if in Norfolk County anyway, for your Norfolk County properties, you can sign up free. We were doing this long before those other outfits on TV. But some of the things that they say on TV, you gotta be, on some of the facts, they're not too far from the truth, because the FBI says the fastest growing white collar crime is property deed fraud. So, the good news is you could sign up for that service. The good news also is if someone tries to hijack your property, a fraudulent deed does not convey good property in Massachusetts. That's a good statute to have. I don't know if all states have it, but Massachusetts does. So, but you're still going to have to dig yourself out from a problem. And we certainly, if anyone has any questions, and people might not be good on the computers, but that's why we have a customer service center. If you sign up for this consumer notification service, and when I get a notice, I can look it up online, but if you're not good at it, you call our customer service center at 781-461-6101, and they can say, oh, well, it's William Joseph O'Donnell. Oh, no, I'm William Patrick O'Donnell. So it doesn't, you can get some peace of mind that it doesn't involve you.
Well, very good. Registrar O'Donnell, thank you for joining us again in studio for an update, and we will continue. We look forward to continuing in 2024 with you and your office.
Well, certainly, and Mark, to you, your family, to everyone out there, let's a healthy and happy year as we move forward and beyond.
Very good. And thank you at home for watching. Please continue to support your local access TV station in 2024 in the community in which you reside. Take care.